guys. It's what the date is today. I think it's about the 12th, 13th, 14th today. Yeah, we've had snow for a couple of days, and yeah, those of us are saying, wow, it's going to be a strange winter. Not much snow and not very cold. Well, I think winter left itself a little late, but yeah, it's kicking in now. So snow for a couple of days, 0 degrees at the moment at 9:30 AM, which is not freezing, but yeah, this week starting Thursday, Friday, the weather forecast is pretty cold. So going to start getting down to -7s, -8s in the day and -16s at night. So yeah, that's starting to get more like traditional winter temperatures. So yeah, I just got to go for a drive out to the airport. Not out to the airport, out to Baneasa Hotel IKEA to meet somebody. So I'll just do a little bit of recording while I'm heading out there. It's weird, I changed this battery. I bought this pack of, I've got a couple of original GoPros, and then I wanted a multi-charging pack, so I found this multi-charging pack that came with three batteries, not originals, but knockoff batteries, clones. But yeah, those the clones, I don't know, they charge 100% and they show fully green. You put them in the camera to check them after the charge, it shows 100%, and then sometimes, you know, a day later you turn it on and it shows 5% or something like it is now. It's red and showing 5%, which is a bit of a pain. But I think I brought a spare with me, I'm not sure, I hope so. So anyway, we'll head out to where we need to go to get done what I need to get done. Alright, I just did a quick battery change at the lights, guys, because it was dying. So this is another one of the knockoff batteries, or the clone batteries. This one shows 100% green. So I'm just very curious to see how long this one lasts charge-wise. So we'll soon find out. So it'd be good, I'll keep it going now and see how long that goes for. Okay, I don't know how much you caught on the previous recording, so I'll go back and check it and edit it or whatever, but I'll start just by saying, yeah, I just got back from Ukraine. That's what I started to say before the battery died. So I just got back from Ukraine, spent a week in Kiev. I've been before to Kiev. I just wanted to see a little bit more of it, because it's one of those cities, it's got so much to offer. It's got a massive history like Bucharest, and the same sort of, you know, history that Romania has. I mean, I think Romanian history is far more diverse, because it's had far more influences in the country, but nonetheless, it's still a great history there, going back a long way. But the difference with Kiev is, you know, a lot of what was there is original Kiev, is still original Kiev. So you've got parts of the city that have been rebuilt with blocks and things, and you know, the typical sort of block architecture that you see in Eastern Europe, ex-communist countries. But a lot of what it's got there too is, by the same token, is still original. Whereas unfortunately a lot of Bucharest, there's a lot of people, if anyone knows the history here, a lot of this was actually destroyed and torn down by Ceausescu. I should say Nikolai. So every time I use his surname, people tend to say, don't call him by his first name. So but just everyone knows them as the Ceausescus, you know. So, but yeah, so a lot of Fortunately, a lot of that old historic stuff, particularly in the centre of, in Bucharest itself, was torn down, which is a little sad. So that's one thing about Kiev. The architecture there is splendid. The buildings are intact, and the churches there. I mean, I love my church buildings, and the churches there are just absolutely spectacular. I suppose firstly because there are so many of them there. They're all over the place and they just look beautiful. All the gold domes, and there's some massive ones there that are still open. I went into a couple. There's other things to see around the city, like the National Monument, which stands up on a hill overlooking Kiev. It's like it's a big warrior soldier with a shield, you know, to do with defending the motherland in the war. But it's actually, what I read, it was bigger than the Statue of Liberty in New York. It's a massive structure just standing on this mountain, and there's a really good military display around it as well. So there's a lot of military vehicles and armour and artillery and things like that to look at, and underground museum. So yeah, that was a week there. The weather wasn't the best. Again, a little strange. People were saying, you know, that we just haven't got any snow this year, which we had started to sprinkle just as I was leaving, but there was really no snow on the ground at all, and not overly cold. It's pretty much the same as in Bucharest at the moment. It was -1, 0 around that, but I'm sure that will change as well. Yeah, one thing I will say though, it's sort of that trip has sort of put me off. It's put me off travelling within the EU again anytime soon. And the reason for that is that I just felt the trip was far more intrusive than it normally is on my rights to travel and things. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, every country, every week, you know, I highly recommend if you're traveling, you know, don't, like in the old days, get early tickets unless you can get very flexible tickets, because it's just not worth it. You know, from week to week, literally, border conditions in the EU and non-Schengen countries are changing week by week. Most countries will put out a bulletin every week. Romania does one every 2 weeks roughly, which updates its list of yellow countries, or the countries that if you're coming back from, you'll definitely have to self-isolate in your house when you come back. So I suggest, yeah, just checking the country's quarantine lists regularly. And unfortunately, you're going to have to buy, you know, don't buy your tickets months out, buy your ticket days out, you know. It's the only way to ensure that you get on a flight that's not cancelled, because the airlines obviously are still cancelling a lot of flights. They wait as long as they can and check the numbers, and if the numbers are not there, it's just not profitable, you know, they simply cancel the flight. So that's a couple of suggestions. So yeah, the issues that I found for me, the main one was because I'm a British passport holder, or passport holder of the UK. Now that we've left the EU on the 31st of December officially, I mean, it's not a huge issue, there's not a hell of a lot that's changed. But now that we've left the EU officially, I go down a separate aisle now, so instead of going through the EU passport lanes, I have to go through the all passports or the other passport lanes now. So you sort of feel like you're a bit of an alien, a bit of a leper now, which is a little bit sad. I even said that on the way out to the Romanian frontier, the customs border control police here, I should say. I actually said to them, "Oh, I'm a little bit sad at the moment because," and they said, "Why?" And I said, "Oh, because you know we've left the EU and I'm not part of the EU anymore." And she gave me, I was a guy actually, oh no, it was a lady that, yeah, she gave me a little laugh. So but yeah, it's a strange feeling. So I had to go through the other aisle. That's fine, that's okay. It's not an issue, and like I said, I am a resident in Romania, so you know I've been here 4 years, going on 5. And I'll get my permanent residency toward the end of this year. All going well. That's been my aim. Like I said, it's my home now, and I'm not just here temporarily. It's where I want to live, and you know, well, yeah, it's home. So on that score, yep, that was all right. First real sort of issue, not a huge issue, but I researched Ukraine before I left. The reason being, like I said, you've got to check all the border conditions and everything. So I knew Ukraine was open. Like anyone from any country can go to Ukraine. There's no restrictions on any country at the moment, but there are restrictions on, dependent on where you come from. Depending on where you come from, there are restrictions on whether you need to quarantine, self-isolate, etc. And there are ways around that, so it's very dependent on where you come from. Sorry to stop talking for a sec, I just navigating this traffic. It's amazing, it's nearly going up to 10 o'clock where, you know, people should well and truly be at work, and it's still, there's just cars galore at 10. But being it's only really the second week of January, you know, there's a lot of people start to come back from holidays now, like anywhere else, come back from the mountains, etc. And still sort of on leave. Yeah, all right. So anyway, I researched Ukraine. I worked out that anyone can go in there, but you got to work out whether you're on their, what they call their green list or their red list. If you're on the green list, no problem. You can just go in and no issues at all. If you're coming from a red list country, which Romania still is because of our corona rates here, which is still pretty high. If you're coming from a red list country, then you have to provide a PCR. So essentially done within the 3 days preceding arriving in Ukraine. And if you can do that, then there's no issues. And the other thing is, you don't necessarily have to get the test. You don't have to get the test done before you arrive. They have that's the second option. So they have a testing facility. They have a testing facility at the airport. So there's a couple of them actually. There's one there's one immediately after you get out of passport control, literally about 5 meters on the right. But all the correspondence on the website, everything doesn't tell you about that one. It just talks about the one that's up on the second floor of the terminal. So that was my plan, was to get it done on the spot. And if you get it done on the spot, you have to download an application to your phone and link it to your mobile number. And as soon as the results come in, you'll get a message to the app, and the app will unlock you. So essentially say that, hey, you're free to now go as you please, do as you please. So it's a pretty good system. It worked pretty well. So I just got in there, I downloaded the app. I'm just trying to change lanes here, guys, so bear with me for a sec. Yeah, got in, downloaded the app, linked it. I actually did that before I left. Then the first thing was so 2 stages. There was a guy and a lady standing there from customs, checking everyone's paperwork, and yeah, it's a little bit of chaos because all they're doing is saying, you know, check your passport, where are you from? Okay, have you got your test? And there's people just waving tests at them, yeah, here, and then they wave you through. And once you've done that, then you go to the passport control, and they just ask again, did you show your test? You say yes or no. And the only additional thing they ask you for if you're a visitor is insurance. You have to buy Ukrainian travel insurance, but you can do that off the airport website as well, or the Welcome to Ukraine website. There's links. It's only about €10 to cover your trip, so nothing expensive. And it's delivered electronically to you straight away. You just put your card in. But yeah, anyway, so so that was it. Yeah, got out and about, did quite a few things in the week. But like I said, for me, the drama really started. The drama started coming back. So you realise now that, you know, the great old UK EU passport, one of the best in the world. I think it's still a very good passport to hold, but yeah, it doesn't quite hold as much merit now as it does after leaving the EU. That's something I've definitely learnt, because when I went to check in Kiev, first thing the guy said when he looked at me was, "Oh, British passport." And I said yes. And he said, "Oh, why are you going to Romania?" And I said, "Because I live there. I'm a resident there." "Oh, you're resident there? Okay, you have your residency?" I said, "Yeah, I brought it with me." "Okay, show me." You know, but it's all very stern. It was, you know, it's all very clinical, and I got the impression it's because, one, obviously British passport, but two, you know, they're probably a little bit sick and tired and pissed off to some extent with the coronavirus situation that's been brought on, you know, as a result of dealing with the UK, because, you know, we've got obviously the worst rates in Europe at the moment, and it's caused so many issues for people, plus the issues with formally leaving the economic zone, you know, and all the dramas that's created now with tariffs and you know, imports of things. So yeah, I got the sense is, yeah, we weren't treated quite the same, but that's all right. I don't expect any presidential or treatment or anything like that. It just would be treated normally. But anyway, finally, you know, he conferred with someone else. Okay, yep, let me. And he called someone else, and they hummed and hard, and I went, "Mate, you have my residency. I'm going to Romania. It's where I live. I have a business there as well. You know, what's the drama?" "Oh, no drama. You can understand I have to check." And I said, "Mate, yes, I understand that. Not an issue." So I thought, I can't be bothered. No use arguing. So anyway, got on the flight. So left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth, and then all the different checks again along the way. Like there's so many security checks now, as you expect, and it's a good thing. I'd much rather travel in a safe environment than one that's not safe. So numerous security checks. I went from Kiev to Warsaw, change in Warsaw, checks again, back here to Bucharest. And I'll say one thing about the guys here, the Frontiera, always very courteous and professional to me. Others may have had different experiences, I don't know, but always been very good with me. Never had an issue, and always very professional. The guy again, why are you coming here? Because obviously now nobody's allowed into Romania at the moment, unless you're a resident, you're working, or you're a student, which is understandable. So, and I said, I'm a resident here, I have my residency, and I know one of the requirements before I left was you have to show them your residency now, or have the original. So I remembered to bring the original with me, which was very lucky, not only for leaving the Ukraine, but also for coming back in. I have no doubt they would have let me back in anyway, because I'm also in the passport system as being a resident. They just want to see the evidence now. So I showed them that, and the guy just said, "Yep, no problem. That is your residency card." So there were no issues with that at all. Alright, well I'm just going to turn this off for a sec until I meet up with someone, and then all good. Sorry guys, I haven't been talking because I wasn't sure whether the camera was still recording or not. This sort of knockoff battery that I was talking about, not the original battery, it's like 100%, and it went to 50, then it went down to 4, then it switched off, then it came back on. Now it's sitting at 3%, but it's been recording for 6 minutes, so very weird. So anyway, it's still recording. I'll just let it go because you're seeing a few bits and pieces around town during the snow that we're getting at the moment. So this is the tail end of the snowstorm that came through Western Europe. It even went as far west as Spain and did a big dump of snow in Spain. I think the most that they've got, they said, in decades. Strange snow though, like I said, I love to see the snow, but it's always strange snow because it's wet snow. Like, it's been coming down, there's enough of it. Sorry, I just had to be quiet navigating that roundabout. That entrance exit there is going to be one of the worst anywhere unless you take your time. It was good there. It was good today actually. It's busy, but everyone just took their time then and just thought, okay, it's raining a little bit, it's a bit slippery, snow on the ground, bit of ice, just stick in the lane and take it slow, you know. And everyone did that then, and it worked fine, perfect. Except so we're still on, still at 3%, and we're still going. Must be a solid 3% battery power, but it's all right. Yeah, so we've had some decent snow, but because the temperature's not, it's not freezing. Like, well, it is freezing. It's 0 degrees at the moment. It's technically freezing, or freezing point, but it's not quite cold enough to keep the rain as steady, fluffy snow, if you know what I mean. So it keeps going from snow to wet to snow to wet, which means the snow doesn't accumulate. It just stays on the ground. It just stays. Weird. Almost feel like I'm starting to get the hang of this driving in Bucharest now, but I better not say that too soon. As crazy as it is here, with people going all over the place and taking risks and all that, yeah, you do have accidents in the city, but for the amount of crazy driving that goes on, they're not as frequent as you would think. Out of the city, on the roads where people are just speeding along and, you know, taking every single risk in the world, yeah, there's some terrible accidents and tragedies, but in the city with all the craziness, it's actually not too bad. people to splash anyone here, so I'm conscious of not driving too close to the edge. I really hate that when people do it to me, so especially when people can see a big puddle of water and they just don't make any effort to slow down and deliberately I think it was last year or the last year before, some poor lady, man, I saw her in winter. She was standing waiting for a bus, and the buses normally, it was the bus lane with some couple of puddles of water from melting snow, and the buses are normally very considerate. They come in slow and go through the water slowly, but this car, there were no buses in the bus lane and he wanted to get around the traffic, so he decided to just keep continuing along at the speed he was going through the bus lane, hit this big puddle of water, and just absolutely, it sounds funny but it's not, but he just sent this huge wave of water over this poor lady, man. You know, it's like, so you can see there's a lot of water on the ground, and that's, like I said, because the ice is temperatures haven't been that cold that the snow is temperatures haven't been that cold that the snow's turned into regular rain.